Ladies and gentlemen, stop for a moment and listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you could completely change the way you see love and heartbreak. Too many women waste their hearts chasing a man who has already chosen someone else, convincing themselves that love can be forced, begged for, or manipulated. But here's the truth. When he chooses another woman, the most powerful, liberating, and life-changing thing you can do is let him go. And I'm going to show you why letting go isn't giving up. It's taking back control of your life, your power, and your happiness in ways you've never imagined. Stay with me, because this is the moment that could transform your love story forever. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something so many of us have faced, yet so few of us truly understand on a deep level: the moment when a man you care about chooses someone else. That gut-wrenching, heart-crushing realization that he has moved on, or that he never really saw you as the one. I want to tell you something fundamental right now. When a man chooses another woman, the most powerful, transformative, and liberating thing you can do is to let him go. I know that sounds almost impossible in the moment, because your heart feels like it's being ripped apart because you have invested time, energy, emotion, and dreams into this person. But I promise you, letting him go is not giving up. It is, in fact, one of the most courageous things you can do for yourself. Here's the truth that a lot of women don't realize. When someone chooses someone else over you, it is not a reflection of your worth. Not in the slightest. It is a reflection of his choice, his priorities, and his vision for his life. You are not diminished because he failed to see your value. You are not flawed because he couldn't appreciate what you brought into his life. And you are certainly not less than because his heart went elsewhere. This is critical to understand, because when we internalize someone else's choice as a judgment on ourselves, we start chasing, begging, and convincing, and that is the exact opposite of the power we need to reclaim. Letting him go is an act of self-respect. It is saying, without even uttering a word, I know my worth. I know my value. I refuse to waste my energy on someone who does not recognize the treasure I am. Think about it. How much time, energy, and emotional bandwidth do we give to people who will never fully commit to us, people who will never match our love with equal intensity? The truth is that energy can be redirected, and when you let go, you create space in your life for someone who truly sees you, someone who will cherish you, someone who will choose you every single day. Now, let me be very clear. Letting him go doesn't mean you stop feeling. It doesn't mean you erase memories or pretend that it didn't hurt. It doesn't even mean you stop loving him. It simply means you recognize that holding on is a form of self-inflicted suffering. When you hold on to someone who has chosen another woman, you are trying to force a reality that isn't yours. And forcing reality never works. You can't control his choices, you can't control his heart, and you certainly cannot control the timing or the circumstances of someone else's life. What you can control is how you respond. And the strongest, most dignified response is to let him go. Many women fall into the trap of thinking, if I love him enough, he'll come back. But love without reciprocity is not love. It's a form of denial, a version of self-punishment. You are not responsible for someone else's choices, for someone else's happiness, or for someone else's inability to see what you are offering. The moment he chooses another woman, that is a line drawn in the sand. That is a signal telling you, gently or not so gently, that your energy is better spent elsewhere. And here's the powerful secret. The moment you let go, the moment you stop chasing, is when the real transformation begins. Because letting go is not about loss. It's about reclamation. It's about reclaiming your time, your power, your self-esteem, and your future. When you let him go, you are also giving yourself the freedom to heal. There is a reason heartbreak feels so excruciating. It's your soul's way of telling you that something needs to change, that something needs to be released. And when we resist, we prolong the pain. But when we embrace the act of letting go, we honor our own process. We allow ourselves to grieve, to cry, to feel, and then to rise again. And here's the truth. Rising again after heartbreak is what makes you irresistible, not in a superficial sense, but in a profound, magnetic sense. People are drawn to those who have Sue. survived, who have grown stronger, and who refuse to compromise their worth. It's important to understand that letting him go is not a punishment for him. You are not making him regret anything. That is a story we tell ourselves to feel powerful when we feel powerless. The real power is in choosing yourself, in walking away with your dignity intact, in refusing to let someone else's indecision or betrayal define your narrative. You are saying to the world, I am enough, I am worthy, and I will not settle for less than what I deserve. That, more than anything, is magnetic. That, more than anything, is the kind of energy that draws the right person into your life. And here's another layer that is often overlooked. Letting him go is also about clarity. It allows you to see the truth without distortion. When someone has chosen another woman, continuing to invest in that connection clouds your judgment. It prevents you from noting the opportunities around you, the people who are actually available, and the love that is possible for you. Once you release him, you start to see the world through fresh eyes. You start to see the possibility of love that is mutual, of a partnership that is balanced, of someone who chooses you without hesitation. I want to challenge you to think about this for a moment. What if letting go is actually the greatest act of love, for yourself and even for him? Because when you let go, you stop being a safety net for someone who is unwilling to commit. You stop giving energy to a man who cannot or will not meet you where you are. And in doing so, you create a space where both of you are free to find what truly aligns with your hearts. That is not cruelty. That is wisdom. That is emotional intelligence. That is maturity. Letting him go also sends a powerful message to yourself that your life does not revolve around anyone else's choices, that you are not defined by rejection, that you are capable of creating a life full of joy, purpose, and fulfillment, independent of who does or does not love you in return. This is freedom in its purest form. This is empowerment at its deepest level. And I promise you, when you step into that freedom, when you walk away without bitterness, without resentment, without chasing, the universe responds. Doors open, opportunities appear, and the kind of love that is real, reciprocal, and sustaining finally has room to enter. We often underestimate the power of our own presence, of our own energy. But here's the thing. The right person doesn't require manipulation, pleading, or chasing. The right person recognizes you. The right person sees your value. The right person chooses you consistently and joyfully. And anyone who cannot do that is not a reflection of your inadequacy. They're simply not the person who is meant to share this chapter of your life. Finally, understand this. Letting him go is not a sign of weakness. It is not giving up. It is the ultimate act of courage. It is the act of choosing yourself over uncertainty, clarity over confusion, dignity over desperation, and freedom over captivity. When you let go, you are telling yourself, I am done compromising my happiness for someone else's indecision. I am done shrinking my life to fit into someone else's unwillingness. I am ready for what is truly mine. This is the power that women often fail to realize. They think holding on is strength, but real strength is release. Real strength is choosing yourself. Real strength is understanding that someone else's choice does not determine your worth. And the most profound truth of all is this: when you let go, you don't lose. You win every single time. You win your peace, your power, your self-respect, and your ability to love yourself fiercely. And once you do that, the right man, the one who sees you, cherishes you, and chooses you, will naturally gravitate toward you, because nothing is more magnetic than a woman who knows her value and refuses to settle for anything less. Let's dive deeper into this, because understanding why letting go is essential requires us to confront some uncomfortable truths. One of the hardest things about seeing someone choose another woman is that it triggers a story in our minds. A story that says, maybe if I had done this differently, maybe if I had been more attentive, more beautiful, more perfect, he would have chosen me. But here's the hard, liberating truth. You could have done everything right, and he still could have chosen another. The reason is not your lack. It is about him, not you. This is a crucial distinction. When you realize that his choice is a reflection of his readiness, his values, his priorities, and not your worth, you free yourself from an endless cycle of blame and self-doubt. Every woman deserves to be chosen fully, without hesitation or compromise. When a man chooses someone else, it is a clear signal that he cannot or will not meet you in the way you deserve to be met. Holding on to someone who cannot choose you creates a loop of pain. It keeps you tied to uncertainty. It keeps you guessing, and it keeps you hoping for something that will never materialize. Letting go is the only way to break that loop. It is the only way to reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your emotional freedom. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but I love him. How can I just let him go? This is where the most radical shift in perspective comes into play. Love alone is not enough. Love is powerful, but it is not a force that can create commitment where there is none. Commitment requires choice, and when someone has chosen another woman, that choice has already been. Continuing to invest your love into that situation is like pouring water into a broken cup. It cannot hold, it cannot sustain, and it cannot fulfill you. The strongest act of love in this context is the love you give yourself. The love you show by stepping away, by saying, I see my value, I know my worth, and I will not settle for less. Letting go is also a way to preserve your dignity. Think about it. Chasing after someone who has chosen another woman, sending endless messages, trying to manipulate, persuade, or win him back. What does that teach you about yourself? That your worth is contingent on someone else's approval? That your happiness depends on his decisions? No, that is not power, that is surrender. True dignity comes from walking away gracefully, from holding your head high, and from refusing to compromise your self-respect. When you do this, you send a silent but powerful message to the world that you value yourself more than anyone else's inability to recognize your worth. Letting go also opens the door to personal growth. Heartbreak, as painful as it is, has a way of stretching us, shaping us, and teaching us lessons we could never learn any other way. When a man chooses another woman, you are presented with an opportunity, a painful yet invaluable opportunity to examine yourself, your desires, and your boundaries. What are you willing to accept in a relationship? What are the non-negotiables that you refuse to compromise? What patterns have you been repeating? And what changes are necessary to create the love life you truly want? By letting go, you step into the process of growth, reflection, and transformation, which ultimately makes you stronger, wiser, and more magnetic. Another layer to this is understanding the concept of emotional alignment. Every person has an energy, a frequency, and a path. When someone chooses another woman, it is an indication that your paths are not aligned at this time. It may seem painful or unfair, but forcing alignment where it doesn't exist only leads to frustration, resentment, and heartache. Letting go respects the natural flow of life and allows you to focus on people and experiences that are in alignment with your energy, your values, and your vision. When you release someone who is not aligned with you, you make room for someone who is, someone who will effortlessly complement you and challenge you to constantly prove your worth. It is also critical to acknowledge the emotional liberation that comes with letting go. When you release someone who has chosen another, you stop carrying the burden of hope, doubt, and emotional turbulence. You stop obsessing over his actions, decoding his messages, and imagining scenarios where he might change his mind. That mental and emotional space is incredibly powerful. It allows you to redirect your focus on yourself, your passions, your goals, and the people who actually deserve your energy. Emotional freedom is one of the most underrated forms of power, and letting go is the first step toward reclaiming it. Now, let's talk about self-love, because it is impossible to let go without it. True self-love is not just about affirmations or telling yourself you're worthy, it's about action. It's about refusing to tolerate behavior that undermines your value. It's about choosing experiences, relationships, and environments that nurture and honor you. When a man chooses another woman, holding on to him is the opposite of self-love. Walking away, even if it hurts, is the ultimate expression of it. You are not punishing him, you are ignoring yourself. And that is profoundly empowering. Another important point is the difference between detachment and bitterness. Letting go does not mean you become resentful, angry, or bitter. It does not mean you curse him, gossip, or sabotage your own life in response to his choice. Detachment is about clarity. It is about recognizing the situation for what it is, accepting it fully, and choosing a path that serves you. Bitterness, on the other hand, keeps you tethered to the past. It keeps you small, stuck, and preoccupied with someone who is no longer available. True empowerment comes from detachment, seeing the situation clearly, feeling your feelings fully, and then moving forward with grace and strength. Letting go is also a lesson in patience and timing. Sometimes we are tempted to hold on because we fear we won't find someone else. We fear loneliness, uncertainty, or change. But the reality is that settling for someone who does not see your value delays the arrival of someone who will. Life has a way of placing the right people in your path at the right time. By letting go, you align yourself with the natural timing of life. You stop forcing outcomes and start trusting that the universe has something better for you, a partner who will choose you without hesitation, who will value you deeply, and who will love you fiercely. It's also crucial to understand that letting go strengthens your intuition. When you stop chasing and start observing, you begin to notice patterns, behaviors, and red flags that previously went unnoticed. You learn to trust your gut, your instincts, and your inner wisdom. That intuitive power is invaluable in love and in life. It prevents you from repeating mistakes and attracts relationships that are healthy, reciprocal, and aligned with your highest self. Letting go can also be transformative in the way you see love itself. It shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance. Instead of believing that love is limited, that there is only one chance, or that your happiness depends on a single person, you start to understand that love is abundant, available, and meant to be shared with someone who chooses you wholeheartedly. You stop settling for scraps and start expecting a love that is full, vibrant, and reciprocated. That shift in mindset alone is life-changing. Lastly, letting go is a declaration of your own sovereignty. It is a statement that your life, your happiness, and your worth are not negotiable. You do not wait for permission to be loved or accepted. You do not bend, compromise, or shrink to fit someone else's inability to see your value. You are the captain of your own heart, and letting go is the act of taking the helm. It is the ultimate form of self-empowerment. When a man chooses another woman, it may feel like the world is ending. It may feel like you have lost something irreplaceable. But in truth, letting him go is the moment you reclaim your life, your energy, and your power. It is the moment you step into a version of yourself that is unstoppable, magnetic, and free. It is the moment you open the door to the love, the happiness, and the fulfillment that you have always deserved, without compromise, without apology, and without regret. Letting go is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the chapter where you shine the brightest. It is the act that transforms heartbreak into wisdom, pain into power, and loss into opportunity. And once you embrace this truth, once you truly internalize it, you will never again allow someone else's choice to dictate your worth. You will stand tall, radiating confidence, dignity, and self-love, and the universe will respond by bringing the right love into your life, the kind that chooses you every day without hesitation and without question. Let's continue, because there's an even deeper layer to this that most women never fully realize. When a man chooses another woman, the initial instinct is often to fixate on what went wrong, to replay moments in your mind, to analyze every word, every gesture, and every text. But here's the truth. That kind of overthinking keeps you trapped in a mental loop that serves no one, not even him, and certainly not you. The energy you pour into dissecting his choices is energy that could be redirected into creating a life that excites you, into pursuing your goals, into cultivating friendships, hobbies, and experiences that remind you of your own value. When you let go, you reclaim that energy. And make no mistake, energy is power. Every thought, every action, every feeling you focus on creates momentum. By redirecting it toward yourself, you are building a life so magnetic that love will find you naturally without you needing to chase, plead, or compromise. Letting go also allows you to regain emotional sovereignty. When someone chooses another woman, it is all too easy to hand over your emotional control to them, to let their decisions dictate your mood, your self-esteem, and even your daily life. But you are not powerless. Your emotions are yours to manage. You can feel the hurt, you can honor the sadness, but you do not have to allow it to define you. By stepping back, by letting go, you reclaim the authority over your own feelings. You begin to realize that no one else has the power to diminish your joy, your confidence, or your sense of self, unless you give it to them. And the moment you reclaim that power, you become unshakable, magnetic, and irresistible. Another element to consider is the lesson in discernment. When a man chooses someone else, it forces you to confront a hard truth. Not every love is meant to last. Not every connection is aligned with your destiny. And that's okay. Letting go teaches you the difference between someone who is merely available and someone who is fully aligned with your life. It teaches you to recognize red flags, to trust your intuition, and to stop tolerating anything less than what you deserve. Every relationship that ends, every heartbreak, is actually a filtering mechanism designed to prepare you for the person who truly belongs in your life, the one who sees your value, matches your energy, and chooses you consistently without hesitation. It's also important to recognize that letting go is not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about being wise. True wisdom comes from understanding what serves you versus what harms you. It comes from distinguishing between attachment and genuine connection. You can still have compassion for someone who has chosen another woman, but you do not need to sacrifice your own happiness for them. Compassion does not require sacrifice. Wisdom requires boundaries. And letting go is the ultimate boundary, an act that communicates without words that you honor yourself too much to settle for anything less than true reciprocity. One of the most overlooked aspects of letting go is the effect it has on your future relationships. When you continue to chase someone who cannot commit, you inadvertently teach yourself and others a pattern of settling for less than you deserve. But when you release someone who has chosen another, you set a new standard for yourself. You send a message to future partners that you will not compromise your worth, that you will not tolerate ambiguity, and that you are capable of loving fiercely yet wisely. This shift in mindset is transformative. It changes the way you attract love, the type of people who enter your life, and the quality of the connections you build. Letting go also creates space for self-discovery. When a relationship ends or when a man chooses another, it forces you to turn inward. It forces you to ask the questions, who am I outside of this relationship? What do I want from life, from love, and from myself? What are my dreams, my passions, my desires? By focusing on yourself, you discover new strengths, talents, and qualities you may never have recognized while entangled in someone else's choices. That self-awareness is incredibly attractive because it signals confidence, independence, and authenticity, the qualities that not only draw the right people to you, but also allow you to love more fully and freely. Another powerful dimension is the freedom from emotional manipulation. Often, when a man chooses another woman, subtle forms of manipulation can creep in, texting you sporadically, showing up inconsistently, or creating false hope. When you hold on, you are feeding into this cycle. But letting go breaks the cycle entirely. It removes you from situations where your love, patience, and energy are being tested unnecessarily. You no longer need to question his intentions or navigate emotional games. You reclaim clarity, dignity, and peace. And with that clarity, you can make choices that truly serve your highest self, rather than reacting out of fear, longing, or desperation. There's also an empowerment that comes from redefining your narrative. When someone chooses another woman, society, friends, and even your own mind might tempt you to see yourself as the rejected one, the loser, or the not enough. But here's the secret: you get to write your story. Rejection is not your identity. It is a single event, a single moment in time. By letting go, you take back control of your narrative. You choose to see this as a turning point, not a setback. You see it as an opportunity to grow, to rise, and to become the version of yourself that is unstoppable, confident, and magnetic. Letting go also strengthens your resilience. Every heartbreak carries a lesson, and every lesson builds strength. By facing the pain, sitting with it, and choosing to move forward rather than stay stuck, you cultivate an inner fortitude that is unshakable. You become a woman who can navigate life's challenges with grace, who can face disappointment without losing herself, and who can approach love with wisdom, clarity, and courage. That resilience is not just attractive to others, it is transformative for you. It allows you to approach every situation in life with confidence, poise, and a sense of agency. And here's a point that is often underestimated. Letting go can actually increase your attractiveness, not just romantically, but in every aspect of life. When you let go, you radiate confidence, self-respect, and emotional intelligence. People are naturally drawn to those who carry themselves with dignity, who prioritize themselves, and who refuse to be defined by someone else's choices. By stepping away from someone who cannot fully commit, you are demonstrating that your time, energy, and love are precious. That kind of energy is magnetic. That kind of energy invites respect, admiration, and authentic connection. Letting go is also a radical act of trust. Trust in yourself and trust in the universe. Trust that you are capable of creating a fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful life on your own. Trust that love exists for you, fully reciprocal and without compromise. Trust that the universe has a way of aligning people and circumstances perfectly when you release what no longer serves you. By letting go, you are participating in the natural flow of life rather than resisting it. And there is a profound liberation in that surrender, a freedom that is deeply healing and empowering. It is also essential to recognize the cyclical nature of attachment. Often, when a man chooses another woman, the mind clings to what was or what could have been. But attachment is not love. It is habit, fear, expectation. Letting go breaks this cycle. It teaches you to love in a healthier, more grounded way. Love that is not desperate, conditional, or dependent on someone else's approval. It is love that is abundant, flowing, and free. And once you experience that kind of love, even toward yourself, it transforms every interaction, every connection, and every relationship in your life. Finally, letting go is an affirmation of your future. It is a declaration that you are open to what is better, stronger, and more aligned with your life path. It is a statement that you will not settle for uncertainty, ambiguity, or half-hearted love. By walking away, you are preparing yourself to receive the kind of love that is unwavering, joyful, and mutually fulfilling. You are telling yourself that you deserve a partner who chooses you consistently, enthusiastically, and without hesitation. A love that mirrors your own intensity, commitment, and value. Every moment you spend holding on to someone who cannot fully commit is a moment taken from yourself, your growth, your happiness, and your future. Letting go is the act of reclaiming those moments, redirecting your energy, and opening your life to possibilities you could never see while trapped in longing. It is the ultimate act of courage, self-respect, and empowerment. It allows you to rise from heartbreak not broken, but stronger, wiser, and more magnetic than ever before. When you let go, you are no longer defined by his choice. You are defined by your own strength, your own clarity, and your own unwavering self-love. That is the kind of power that transforms lives. That is the kind of energy that draws the right people to you effortlessly. That is the kind of freedom that allows you to live fully, love freely, and step into a life that is not dictated by anyone else, but guided by your own vision, values, and worth.